everyone. Laura Pullen, dietitian in your kitchen. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a berry chocolate and vanilla strata. Sounds really fancy. It's actually super easy to make, and I bet you have most of the ingredients in your house. And if berries aren't in season, any fruit will do. All right, so I would like to introduce you to my assistant, Megan. Megan is an intern from Marshall University, and she's doing all the background and handling all the tech for me today. And she's also going to ask me some questions as we go along and keep me entertained. So, all right. So we're going to start with the first ingredient. Now this recipe I found from the American Diabetes Association, their vegetarian cookbook. And so I wanted to just show you that recipes can be modified to a certain degree in a lot of things, so based on your needs. For example, this recipe originally called for unsweetened soy milk, all right? So I do have some unsweetened plain soy milk here. And then it also called for an unsweetened chocolate soy milk. Well, I've never been able to find something like that in the store. Usually, if a soy milk, or even this goes for yogurts and things like that, if it's got flavor in it, it usually has sweetener to it. So what you're trying to look for is anything that says it's plain. So you want it to be plain so it doesn't have any added sugar to it. So what I did was I changed the recipe and decided to make my own chocolate milk so that it wasn't anything that's already sweetened on the market. So what we're gonna do though is instead of the soy milk, we're gonna use just a regular milk. All right, so this regular milk obviously always is unsweetened. When you buy chocolate milk, however, that would be sweetened. If you are a diabetic, this is why we're talking about it. You might want to try to limit the amount of sugar in your diet, or if you're like most of us, we're kind of eating a little bit too much sugar in our diet. So anywhere that we can find to cut it back is helpful. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started here. I'm going to measure out 1 cup of my milk. Now, the recipe tells you can do 2 at the same time. You can make your vanilla and your chocolate at the same time. Because I'm talking to you today, I'm going to try to just do 1 at a time and talk you through it. All right, so I'm going to put the milk back in the fridge. Keep it at the right temperature. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start with the plain vanilla milk. Okay, so this milk, what we're going to do is we're using regular milk, and now I'm going to add some vanilla to it to taste. And I'm going to go ahead and add that now. I think you could probably add it after it's done cooking, but either way is fine. I'm going to add, I have a 1/2 tablespoon. That's plenty. I think I said vanilla to taste. I think I 1/2 teaspoon. You could even try a teaspoon if you wanted to. All right. So I'm just going to heat this over low heat. I'm going to give it a little stir with the vanilla. So now we've got our vanilla milk in here. And while that's heating up, I'm going to combine. I have a little cup here. I'll show it to you there, right here. And we're going to take a little bit of the cold milk, just a little bit of cold milk, but we're going to combine a tablespoon of Splenda, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So now the recipe also from this cookbook called for Splenda. Another tip, you could actually use stevia if you prefer. Stevia and Splenda are 2 sugar, 0-calorie sweeteners on the market that they are okay to heat up. There are a lot of sweeteners out there on the market that you don't want to heat up. So any of the, what am I thinking of, Megan? Like the aspartame. So that's the one in the yellow packet, or no, not the pink packet. Thank you. Sorry. So sweet and low. And what's the other one? Equal. Yes. So equal. Those actually sweeteners are not ones that you want to heat up or bake with. So, all right. So we're gonna do. It's very powdery. And again, if you don't have a diabetic in the house or you want it to be on a special side, you could always use regular sugar. The sugar to the stevia ratio is 1:1. So if you use 2 tablespoons of stevia, like we are in this recipe, you would use two tablespoons of sugar using regular sugar. Okay. So we said 2 tablespoons of Splenda. Oh, it was 1 tablespoon of Splenda, wasn't it? So 1 tablespoon of Splenda. So now I've made enough of the thickener for both milks. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take out one of my Splendas. There you go. No harm, no foul. Oh, and going to then put in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. 1, 2. All right. So 1 tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So put my spoon off to the side. Mix this up, and I need to get my milk again to put a little bit of milk in there to mix it all together. This is what we're going to use to thicken the other milk. So just, I don't know, a little bit of milk. See what it looks like. You need to add more milk, always add more milk, but generally, as least amount of milk you can add, the better. All right. So once our milk gets to be simmering, we will start adding the thickener. All right. Any questions so far? Anything I should talk about?
What could be another benefit of using regular milk versus soy milk?
Okay, good question. There are so many milks out on the market. That's a great question, yes. So when you are, the difference between soy milk and regular milk is not terribly great. Soy milk, you would want to make sure that it's been fortified with calcium and vitamin D, because what the American diet should include is 2 to 3 servings of dairy per day. And most of us are not getting that. So we want you to have about 2 to 3 servings a day. And when you switch to some of these other milks that are on the market, and I'm going to say milk because technically it's not milk. Milk comes from a cow. Soy, it's a soy drink or oat drink or, beverage or however you want to say it. But we all say milk, and I'll say it too, I'm sure. But once you, move away from milk, there's a lot of nutrients in milk. We have in milk, we're looking for it to provide us with a great source of calcium, vitamin D, but there's also other nutrients that we get when we drink cow's milk that we aren't necessarily going to get from these other milks, like magnesium, phosphorus, zinc, some of your B vitamins, right? Potassium, thank you. So those are nutrients that might be missing in some of these other milk alternatives. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking milk. However, if you can't drink milk, I always recommend soy milk as your backup, because soy milk actually comes the closest to cow's milk in terms of the amount of carbohydrates and proteins. So it's a combination of carbohydrates and protein, which is what you find in milk. Yeah. So yeah, these days there's all kinds of milks on the market, right? What kinds of you come across?
The coconut, the oat, the almond, and then the newer ones I've noticed are the hemp and the chia seed and other
chia seed. Yes, they're just making milk out of anything these days. The thing with almond milk, just as an example, almond milk has about 20 calories in 8 ounces. Versus a milk, if it's a skim milk, it's going to have about 80 calories per 8 ounces, or up to 125 if you have more fat in your milk. So if you like your 2% or your whole milk. And so that's a big difference, is the calories and just the nutrient. And like, if you're having cereal in the morning, for me, when you go from a regular milk to an almond milk on your cereal, you've severely declined the amount of protein that's in that meal. And the thing is, when we eat breakfast, I usually do a glass of milk in the morning, and it really fills me up because of the protein that's in there. And so this is simmering now, so I'm going to go ahead and add my thickener. I'm just going to keep stirring and thicken this up as we go. But the thing with protein is, protein in the body will, sorry, my oven's talking. Protein in the body will help slow down the digestion of your carbohydrates. And so when you're having things like sweets and treats, or even just cereal in the morning, you want your cereal to last you a little while. You don't want to be hungry right away. And I can usually get hungry right away if all I've had is cereal in the morning. So that's why a lot of people will add nuts into their cereal and things like that. So you're adding protein and fat, and you might notice that those are the types of cereals in the morning that really make you feel full for a long time. So, okay, so we're just going to heat this milk until it thickens up. And as soon as it gets nice and thick, we're going to remove it and let it cool down. And then while we do that, I will start making the chocolate milk. All right, so we are cooling, and while we cooled, I am getting the berries ready. So like I said, this week at Kroger, that's where I shop, they had strawberry, blackberries, and blueberries on sale, and I thought that would be a good combination. When we think about fruit, and if you think about a dessert, of course, you want it to look really good. We do eat with our eyes, so having a variety of colors can make a dessert very appealing. But the other thing that it does is actually nutritionally we get different nutrients from the different colors of the fruits or vegetables or whatever we're eating. So you probably heard, eat a rainbow of colors, right? So that's why, because the strawberries, what's making the red strawberries red are different vitamins, minerals, and chemicals that are naturally occurring in the fruit, as well as the blackberries and the blueberries. They have a different color to them. Even the blackberries, you can see, are them over here, slightly different than the blueberries, but they're darker.
Generally speaking, the darker the color of your fruit or vegetable, the more nutrient dense it is. That really comes through when you're talking about lettuce, actually, for salads and things like that. If you think about your spectrum of lettuce, like iceberg lettuce all the way to spinach, and spinach is really deep and dark in color, and there's actually a lot more nutrients in there. So, but also people don't realize and think about it, but the white, like the white in the strawberry, there's different phytochemicals that make that white color. And so we're learning about nutrition all the time. We don't exactly know what all these phytonutrients, is what they're called, do in our bodies. So we're learning all the time about them. So that's why I would encourage you to eat a rainbow of colors. So that we can start assembling our cups. So what we're going to do is, I've got bowls to create in our strata. And I'm using these bowls. If you have any clear glasses, you could just use your clear glasses to make your strata. And so I'm going to get some spoons out. Big spoon, and you could take all of your berries, blackberries and blueberries, and mix them all together. But you could also have a little fun with it and, keep the layers, one color. So maybe we're gonna start with a strawberry layer here. All right, keep in mind we've got a couple more layers to go. So then we're going to layer the chocolate next. I think the white looks best on top. So we're gonna do a layer of chocolate. So I'm gonna drizzle a layer of chocolate. And then we're going to this one. Just a spoonful on each. This should make about 6 servings. But you know what, you could do as much or as little as you want. I feel like this is a great serving size. So let's see, I'm gonna do blueberries next. Lots of blueberries, so we'll do some blueberries, and then we'll do the vanilla layer. Pretty nice. All right, and then I'm just gonna top it because these blackberries are beautiful. I'm just gonna top each one with a blackberry and sprinkle with some cocoa. Just looks pretty. You don't have to do that, but I kind of like the way that looks. So there you go, there you have it. I'll try to show you the different layers. I don't know, I'm not very, trust me, it's beautiful. Very appealing. All right, so I'm gonna keep finishing up on these. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this recipe. I will post it in the notes below, and we'll see you next time in the kitchen.